So in the last tutorial, we have started with the series of FAQs related to the data science or all the data-driven technologies. In today's tutorial, we are going to continue with some of the very interesting facts related to the data science or the remaining questions of the data science interviews. So the next very interesting question that is generally asked in the interviews is about the difference in between SAS R and Python. So both these three technologies are used in order to work on any of the data-driven kind of problem. SAS is one of the very famous analytical tool, which was highly used for the automation purpose as well as for the data manipulation purpose. SAS can perform automation tasks, but it was quite costly and it was not affordable for all the small or the mid-sized organizations to have the licenses of the SAS. And that's why most of the companies switched or migrated on R or Python analytical tools. Coming back to the R as well as Python, both are the free and open source kind of softwares. What do I mean by free and open source? So we can install the softwares for the free. There is no cost that you have to bear whenever you are installing or downloading the software such as R and Python. And are open source, that when the source code is available for free, you can view the source code and you can modify the source code up to a certain extent as well. As being the free and open source software, both Python as well as R have a huge community support. That means if you are typing a single question in which you are stuck related to the R or related to the Python, you'll find out there are lots of options people will suggest you if you are stuck at a certain point. So that's a huge community is available for the R as well as for the Python. The next thing is both the programming languages, that is R as well as Python, both are beginners programming language. That means if you're not aware about the coding and if you start learning about the coding, you may start by these languages because they are very easy to learn. In fact, Python is a language developed with the intention that if anyone can read English, should be able to read Python language as well. So that's how the lucid or how easy Python language is to understand as well as to interpret. Then comes about the library. So R as well as Python, both are very rich with respect to the libraries. What do we mean by library? Library is a set of the related modules, and modules is set of functions which are already written by someone. You simply have to load those libraries. You simply have to download and acquire those libraries so that you can explore all the functionalities which are written inside those libraries. So that's basically the unique point whenever it comes to R as well as Python, that they have extensive support of libraries. Almost there are more than 1 lakh libraries present in R as well as Python each. And that's the reason why they are so much famous, that there is no need to write the code. For every single task, you can use the functions which are already written inside the library. You can simply pass your data to those libraries and your work will get over within few lines of codes. Coming back to the differences, R is basically used only for the statistical analysis. R is a programming language that is developed by statisticians for statisticians. And that's why you'll find out that whenever it comes to developing something, R lags behind as compared to that of the Python. Python is very good for development as well as for the analytical purpose. So if you are thinking from the development point of view, then Python is more preferred over R because R will not provide you that much functionalities at what Python provides you. The cross-platform language support and the extensibility of the Python is much more as compared to that of R. And that's why in most of the applications, Python becomes the first choice as compared to that of R in today's world. So these are few of the points that you can present whenever you have been asked to present a difference in between R, Python as well as SAS. Then comes up the next very important question, that is, what are the different measures of the central tendency? Whenever someone asks you the question related to the central tendency, try to give the definition of central tendency as the first point. So basically, what is central tendency? Central tendency is that point of the data which repeats itself maximum number of times. Or you can say the point or the value which has the highest frequency or highest occurrence in the given data is called as central tendency of that data. Central tendency of the data helps you to compare two or multiple groups together. For example, if you have been provided with the two columns, one is gender and the another one is salary. There are two subcategories in the gender column, that is male and female. So you can compare average salary get by or average salary that is drawn by the male, and you can compare that to the average salary drawn by the female, and then you can make some kind of inferences out of it, that whether it is similar, whether it is different, whether it is significantly different, or whether it is very less marginally different from each other, and so on. So in order to make out the statements, it's very important to know some of the central tendencies or some of the formulas that will help you to understand the difference in between these two groups. Because it is not possible that you are comparing one value of the male group with the another value of the female group. You need some kind of summary statistic which can describe the difference in between the two categories very efficiently. There are various types of the central tendencies, the one out of which is nothing but mean or arithmetic mean or average that we use in our day-to-day life. Average is generally used with the continuous or numerical type of data where the data is not having an outlier. What do we mean by outlier? Outlier is extraordinary or exceptional observation among all the observations which are present. So for example, if there are students who are scoring in the range of 30 to 70, and suppose there are 5 students who are scoring 100 in the examination, then the students who score 100 will become outlier for us because they are extraordinarily different than the other observations in the data set. Or suppose there are salaries of the employees and maximum employee lies in the range of 30,000 to 70,000, but there comes few of the employees, say 5 or 6 employees, who are getting their salary as 1.5 lakhs or 2 lakhs per month, then they will become extraordinary observation for the given data set. Due to the presence of this extraordinary observations, whenever you will try to calculate the average, average will be always slightly either overestimated or it will be either underestimated. That depends on the presence of the outlier, whether they are on the positive side or they are on the negative side. So that's why mean is not a good statistic to be used whenever the data is skewed or whenever the data is having outliers presented. In such type of data, you may go or you may prefer median value, because median value refers to the middle value of the data set when you arrange your data set in an ascending order. So it will always give you the middle point or the midpoint of your data set, irrespective of what the outliers you have. And that's why median is less affected by the outliers as compared to that of the mean value. The another measure of central tendency is called as mode, which is nothing but used with the categorical type of data, which helps you to understand that which subgroup is having the highest frequency. For example, if you are jotting down the marital status of a people, and out of 100, if 60 are married, 30 are not married, and 10 people don't want to reveal their marital status, then in that case, 60 being the highest frequency, so married will become mode value for the given data. Central tendency is extremely important to know while describing the data. So if you are aware about the central tendency, it becomes very easier for us to compare or to make some kind of comments on the data. So that's why it becomes a very, very integral part of the data understanding whenever the data is given to us. So I just hope these two questions are very clear to you. The first being what are the differences in between R and Python as well as SAS whenever it comes to data-driven kind of technique. And another question, there was nothing but with respect to what are the different types of the central tendencies which we can study in order to give the better data understanding to a layman or to a person who tries to investigate the data. I just hope these two questions are very clear and you can confidently give the answers about these two questions in your future interviews. Thank you so much for patiently listening to this session. In the next session, we'll try to discuss about few more questions related to the data science.